Kia ora e te whānau, my name is Talitha, this is Faith, Birds and Finds. In today's video, we're going to be answering why I converted to Islam. This video is an answer to this comment by Croissant CB1EY, and it says, and I'll just read what they're asking, is what I believed that was really opposing Christianity and Islam, and very specifically, the Christian doctrines that I struggled with personally. And so that is what today's video is going to be about. So, first and foremost, the Trinity. That really confused the hell out of me. I bet anyone has seen that diagram. I'll show it here if you haven't seen it. The God is the Father, but the Father is not God the Son is not God the Holy Spirit, but they are all God. And I could not wrap my head around it whatsoever, because I'm like, okay, so you're saying, like, imagine if there's three of me, so God, and God. I was like, that does not make sense. And you're saying they're all the same person, but then not. That alone really, really confused me, and I was searching for the monotheism and I was not finding it in Christianity. The second thing would be having intercessors. So the fact that you'd have to go through someone, in this case Jesus, to talk to God, didn't make sense. I should be able to just talk to God. If you listen to my faith story, you'll know a bit about this, but if you haven't, I'll just catch you up. You know, I was looking through all the things from like Messianic Christianity. I was even looking at Hebrew Israelites. It was a very small, teeny tiny little fraction of a time. All the things, right? Okay. And one of them was Catholicism. And I was actually really, really interested, into a point that I contacted a priest to start RCIA. He never got back to me, and so I was like, it's a sign. However, forgive me for my immatureness in faith, I guess. I didn't know, but at that point I was like, I didn't get an answer right now, so I guess it's a sign. It's like, it's not really how these things work. Now I know, in hindsight. However, looking into Catholicism, and then it's like praying to saints, praying to Mary. If you're Catholic, you're hearing this and you're like, hold up, girlfriend. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, because hear me out, right? So people are like, you got so many denominations in Christianity, right? And so that was my first and foremost thing. I was like, there are so many. I'm just going to go back to before Martin Luther and the whole Reformation. I believe that's what that was called. So then we got the Orthodox and the Catholic. And I kind of agreed with more Catholicism. But then I cannot deny the stuff to do with praying to Mary. And you see those videos of where they're carrying a Mary statue through a town, and people are crying at it, or like a reverence for it. And I'm like, that makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like, and I don't mean any offense if you are Catholic. I'm just saying, like, seeing that, I'm like, I don't understand. I think those are like more Eastern European countries or that. But seeing that and knowing, hey, St. Francis of Assisi, can you pray for me? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. However, that being said, I could ask you, hey, I'm struggling at the moment. Can you pray for me? Right? And I feel like that in an umbrella is A-okay. However, as soon as you ask Mary or the saints, that's kind of frowned upon. And then some people will be like, it's because you're praying to the dead. But then, if I'm right, Catholics believe that they are alive in heaven. So you're not, and they're close to the Lord in heaven. Anywho, you can see how it gets so messy so quick, right? And in Islam, there is no intercessor. So you're praying to God. And if you can imagine just everything I just said, it internally, mentally, it feels so heavy, feels so confusing, right? And then I have this thing which is like, oh, I just pray to God. No intercessor, just, right? that brought a sense of calmness and clarity. These are less about doctrines. They may include some here or there, but those two are more like doctrine things about intercessors and the Trinity. So the third thing for me is many inconsistencies. And these are just things that I saw, and I have to be blunt and honest. When you compare it to Islam, you're like, one does it better visually, if you're taking it at face value, one does it better. Okay, so the practice of zakat, giving tithes, that is well known. That is a core practice of Islam. And I'd hear it at some churches. Many churches I've been to, it was kind of an optional thing. If you want to, we're not going to give out a basket. If you want to, you can do it. You can just scan the QR code. It's a very optional thing, right? Whereas it was instilled, and like I said, a very core practice in Islam. There was no doubt about it. That was one of the 5 pillars of Islam, I believe. Next one being fasting, right? So there's such an importance of fasting, Ramadan. And I'm like, well, it says for us to fast in the Bible. And then you have some Christians who are like, you don't have to if you don't want to. Or you should do it for this day. Or maybe you do it for this day. 3 days, 40 days. You only do it on a Monday and a Friday. You obtain from meat and this. You don't have to do food. It could be anything. It could be technology. It could be this. So many inconsistencies. Sorry. And then compared to Islam. And there's just the set time. And we give it to God. And I know that can then be well, the fasting, and about it because they're letting you know about it, and I feel like there's some Bible verse to do with that, about praying on the streets or praying in front of people, and it's I'll put it here because I know what I'm trying to say, and I know that could kind of contradict what I'm saying, but it's, you got one faith which is we have the set time of the year that we intentionally fast for God, we give it to God. And whereas in Christianity, I was not a witness to that and did not see that. And again, it was very personalized. Do what fits. Yeah. Okay. Again, the direct prayer to God, no intercessors, that just been so clear cut, Another very big one is halal. Food being halal. No bacon, and obtaining from alcohol. Now, because again, this person asked for my personal struggles, right? There's a lot of context because I had, up to this point, looked into all these other lines of faith, within just within Christianity, of course, outside of it, but I'm like, okay, so I know in Catholicism, there are some practices where you do obtain from meat on this day, and is no really, you shouldn't get drunk, but you can enjoy wine, right? However, then I'm aware of the laws in Leviticus, I believe it was, which talk about good meat, bad meat, basically, that kind of stuff. And again, I'm like, well, if that's what that says, but people say Jesus came to fulfill the law, so that's kind of been wiped out. And, if I think this meat's okay to eat and you don't, that's okay. We don't judge each other. We just do what we feel is fit, right? And then again, like I said with the other one, then I have Islam basically saying, this stuff is not good. God has said it's not. That's what he said in the old scriptures, reaffirming these things are not okay. And I'm not let's go get wasted, let's go party, let's go stay up to 3 a.m. and sleep around and do all that stuff. That's, to be honest, it's kind of lame, and I don't want to do that and waste my life doing that, or my money. And it was really attractive, may I say, seeing something that's been This is a way of living, a halal way of living, where you are obtaining from things and giving that to God instead. And it's not like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. I can't get drunk, or I can't eat pork. It's like, if these things are actually not good for me, thank God. So to wrap that up, the 2 Christian doctrines was the Trinity and another one of just having intercessors, right? And then a little tangent off that was just the many inconsistencies I found that kind of led me to Islam. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and that it's given you more of an insight as to where my mindset was before I converted to Islam and what things I'd struggled with. And it'll be really interesting to know if where I was is where you are at, if you have converted to Islam, if you've converted from Islam to Christianity, etc. I'm really keen to hear. If some of these things you agree with, disagree with, it'll be really interesting. Again, I love having conversations with you. Healthy conversations. Let's be respectful, okay? I also want to reassure you, if you're listening to this, it is normal to have these questions, I guess, about faith. And I really encourage you to do something about them, It's when you don't and you let that kind of... It's like if you've got something in the pot on the stove, you do nothing about it, it's going to burn and it ain't going to be good. And I really recommend to you, if you're watching this, to be proactive. If you've got these questions about faith, it's okay and it's normal. Don't feel like, oh, I'm a bad Christian or I'm a bad this for having these questions. They're always good and it's healthy to question stuff, right? And I want to apologize on anyone's behalf if they've ever offended you by telling you shouldn't ask questions, because I went through that and it did not make me feel welcomed, and I walked away, and I will never forget that experience. That person, God bless, has passed away, and it's hard because that was my last memory of them. Where instead of cultivating an environment where questions can be asked and answered and resources be given, I was immediately shut down. And I don't want you to feel like that here. I want you to ask these questions, and I will do my best. I am only one person, but I will do my absolute best, because I've been in that position, and then you feel kind of crap about it, because it's like, oh, I have just been grilled for asking a question, and then you second guess. Like, at that point I was like, this is a leader in a church, and is this how everyone is? I can't even ask someone who's in that position for some guidance. And I felt very isolated, and I also had friends and other people around me at that time also shut down those questions and say, like literally their response was when they're like, oh, what did you say to them? And their response, once I had said, oh, this is what I asked, they're just like, I have a question. Don't sue me for having a question. Come on. Anywho, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I can't wait to talk with you guys there and see you guys in the next video. Much love and God bless.